Okay, class, today we'll be covering Chapter 3 in your book, Organizational Commitment. Before you continue on with this lecture, be sure that you have read Chapter 3 and have either pulled up or printed out the question set that corresponds with this lecture. There will be stated stopping points within the lecture in which you should take the time to answer the questions associated with the material that has been covered by that point. Now, are you ready? Let's go. An organizational commitment is defined as the desire on the part of an employee to remain a member of the organization. Organizational commitment influences whether an employee stays with their current organization or chooses to move on to somewhere else. Now, there are many factors that play into an individual's organizational commitment, including the need for money, the type of industry, the organization's environment, obligatory feelings, or a general love of the job. Taking into account those factors, there are 3 types of organizational commitment. In the following videos, you will see the 3 types set into real-world examples, and be sure to pay close attention to how each individual reacts to the prospects of their job.
Dang, it was only a dream. I wish I could afford a fun vacation like that. But between my bills and student loans, I just don't have enough money. I need my paycheck every month to cover just the basic costs like food and shelter. So I need to stay at my job, but maybe someday I'll make enough that I can afford a trip to Fiji.
Remember how Ned needed to go to work due to needing to pay his bills and student loans off, in addition to possibly saving for a future trip to Fiji? This is an example of continuance commitment. Continuous commitment is the desire to remain a member of an organization because of an awareness of the costs associated with leaving it. In other words, the individual stays at the job because they need to, and not necessarily because they enjoy their job.
Dear Mr. Oliver, we are offering you a position at Company Awesome. We will pay you twice as much as your current job, and you will be your own boss. Wow, this is my dream job, but my boss has done so much for me. He even helped me get a promotion. There's no way I could leave him behind. I ought to stay here instead of moving on to this other job.
Remember how Oliver felt that he ought to go to work at his current job because of how much his boss had helped him? Well, this is an example of normative commitment. Normative commitment is the desire to remain a member of an organization due to a feeling of obligation. There could be many possible scenarios as to why an individual would feel like they ought to stay at a job. It could be that someone they know helped them get the job, or even that the organization is such a secretive one that trying to go to a different company to work could put them in an ethically difficult situation.
I love my job. I'm friends with all of my coworkers, and I enjoy the work that I do.
Hey Walter, will you be here this Monday to help host the event?
Of course, I'm excited about the event. I actually want to come to work Monday morning.
Now Walter appeared to be enjoying his job, therefore making him want to go. This is an example of affective commitment. Affective commitment is the desire to remain a member of an organization due to an emotion attachment to it, and involvement with the organization. In other words, an individual stays at a job because they actually want to be there. Affective commitment is a win-win type of commitment for both the employee and the employer, as it creates a happy employee that more than likely is willing to go above and beyond in whatever task it is they need to be doing. Now take some time to answer questions 1 through 3 on your answer sheet. These questions should be about the 3 types of commitment: continuance, normative, and affective. Now, between continuance, normative, and affective commitment, which type do you believe that employers want their employees to have? If you're thinking that it's continuance commitment, then you may need to go back and take a look at the definition for continuous commitment one more time. The correct answer is affective commitment. Employers want their employees to want to do their best and enjoy their work. If every employee in an organization would love what they did, it would create a positive work environment and could promote a more productive workplace. This graph shows how effective commitment can only be reached through time. Continuous commitment is present from the very beginning. People usually get jobs because they need to earn money. Normative commitment takes a little longer to achieve, but affective takes the longest. It normally takes a lot of time to establish trust, friendships, and satisfaction within a job, and that is how you reach effective commitment. Now take some time and answer questions 5 through 6 on the handout. That should be about the types of commitment. Now, one of the biggest factors that can go into an employee's organizational commitment is the company environment. Creating a good environment can decrease the time it takes to build affective commitment. When an employee is comfortable with their workplace, it's easier to make friends and work productively. Not all work environments attract everybody, so it is important to find a company that you fit with. Here's an example that reinforces how not every person fits every company culture.
The world's largest retailer, Amazon, is firing back after a scathing report depicted it as a bruising workplace. It's described as a cutthroat corporate jungle where workers are pitted against one another. 80-hour work weeks are the norm, and falling ill can mean you're out of a job. But let's step back for a moment. Is it really that intense? Tonight, former employees give their side to our Cynthia McFadden.
Amazon may have one of just about everything on its massive shelves. This, one of its many fulfillment centers, the size of 28 football fields. The company has become the most highly valued retailer in the world, outranking Walmart. But as other tech companies outdo each other with employee benefits, for example, Netflix recently announced it would give a year-long parental leave to male and female employees. An article in Sunday's New York Times suggests Amazon is taking a contrary direction.
There is definitely a sense from people that we talk to that Amazon does not really care about their personal lives. You can't reveal any weaknesses or you will be in trouble.
Even an Amazon recruitment video acknowledges it isn't the work environment for everyone.
You love it or you don't. There is, no middle ground really.
The Times recounts several alarming anecdotes from former employees. From one who said, "Nearly every person I work with, I saw cry at their desk, men included." To a woman who miscarried twins but went on a business trip the next day. Her boss, she says, told her, "I'm sorry, the work is still going to need to get done." And another woman who had thyroid cancer and was given a low performance rating after she returned from treatment. But today, Nadia Shorobora told us in her 9 years as an executive at Amazon, that's not what she saw.
When I read the article, it sounded absolutely horrible, but it just didn't resonate with a company I worked for many years.
In a CNBC documentary last year, John Rossman and Randy Miller, former executives at Amazon, said CEO Jeff Bezos does set a high bar.
He has a low tolerance for thinking small, acting small, or not being extremely sharp.
Or rationalizing. If you start giving rationalizations and excuses,
Or pointing the other direction.
he'll slice you to shreds. He's got a very effective, sarcastic bent.
But that certainly wasn't the tone Bezos took in an email yesterday to his 150,000 employees, telling them he wouldn't want to work for the company described by the Times and saying, quote, "Hopefully you don't recognize the company described. Hopefully you're having fun with a bunch of brilliant teammates helping invent the future and laughing along the way."
Now take some time and answer question number 7 on your questionnaire about a bad example of company environment. Now here's an example of a company culture that could quickly build effective commitment and might be one that you work for in the future. Now take some time and answer question number 8 on your handout about a good example of company environment. Now that you've had an introduction into organizational commitment, it's time that you go out and review for yourself. You take some time to research a current event about company culture or a commitment to find an article from a good source like New York Times or the library database. You need to write a minimum of 2 pages, double-spaced, discussing the article and how it relates to this week's lesson. And finally, you need to include a copy of the article and source when submitting it.